How's it going, everybody? And welcome to another episode of the Barely There podcast. Be sure to follow the podcast on Twitter at Barely There Pod. I'm Duke Coughlin. You can follow me at that pod guy Duke on Twitter. I'm also joined by the Ayatollah of Capicola, Lucas Perfetti. You can follow him at LucasFetti46 on Twitter. We are previewing the Chicago Bears playing the Dallas Cowboys. It is a noon game on Sunday. We're playing down in Jerry's World. I know there's a lot of Bears fans actually going to this game, so I expect to look at the TV and see us traveling fairly well, which, hey, God bless you. I looked at some of those ticket prices, and if you're not doing standing room, like, good freaking Lord. A little preview of probably what those Arlington Heights tickets are going to cost in a few years, so be prepared for it. So if you can handle it now, you should be good moving forward. So, but yeah, I guess we have a lot to kind of jump into. Obviously, the injury report is something that's going to be kind of number one priority. The Bears injury report is looking pretty good. The Dallas Cowboys injury report looking pretty rough. I feel like Jerry Jones is having a lot of long nights at the club looking at this injury report. But Lucas, how you feeling about it? What are some key issues that we're looking at here? Obviously, Micah Parsons is kind of like the number one name that pops off here, but I mean, there's a laundry list of people here. So how you feeling, Lucas? How you feeling about this game?
I'm feeling, I think this is a tough one to call because this feels a lot like last week where the Bears have no business winning it, but I think I'm able to pick a couple holes in the Dallas Cowboys. I don't know, man. The way the Bears played last week against the Patriots, if they come out and execute like that, they can beat a lot of teams. And I don't consider Dallas one of those elite teams. And while they do have some elite players and a pass rush that is really scares me as a fan for Justin Fields, to be honest. That's probably the best pass rush we've faced since weeks 1 and 2, right? So I do think there's going to be some challenges there, but I think it's hard for me to think that the Bears can't beat a team like the Cowboys. Maybe if we were facing the Bills this week, I'd be like, that's tough, right? But the Bears facing the Cowboys, I do think they're a beatable team. They've lost a couple games. I know, they went through a backup quarterback, a couple of those issues, but I think it's a game that the Bears can win. They shouldn't be favored. I understand why everyone would think the Cowboys are going to win, but that was the same case last week. And if they come out and execute their game, anything could happen, right? Any given Sunday. That's something I really emphasize with Matt Eberflus and just kind of having that feeling kind of back where that's how you felt with Lovey, right? Even when you didn't have the best teams, these guys were going to be ready to go and they were going to put together a game plan, whether it's shortening the game, being aggressive, whatever it had to be. They were going to keep it close and have a chance to win it in the end. So, and that's how a lot of games have gone this year in general, right? Even that Packers game, I know the score says it's a little bit longer than what it was, but they had a chance to go tie the game there and make it a one-score game there. And score 8 points at the end. So, what's up, Joey? Thanks for dropping in. Yes, I agree with that. He said, honestly, think Zeke potentially being out hurts the Bears, means we have to see Tony Pollard. I've been saying this for 3 years now. I think Tony Pollard's the better back. I also do think there's a bit of that Khalil Herbert effect with Tony Pollard, where he comes in and kind of has stuff worked in for him, right? When he comes in, he's meant to make a big play. Oh my God, here we go with Jim. But I think there's a bit of that effect with Tony Pollard where every time he touches the ball, really good things happen, explosive things happen. And Zeke gets a little bit more of that dirty work. So I'm actually interested to see how their game plan changes or if they use someone in more shorter yardage type situations. But realistically, a lot more Tony Pollard does scare me more than a lot more Zeke, because we know what Zeke is at this point in his career, and that's just get downhill. At the same time, though, the Bears aren't really good at downhill run stopping. So I don't know, but we missed one big thing. Bob Quinn retired. We should probably talk about that at the top of the hour now.
Bob Quinn did not retire.
No, or he not did. I'm sorry, he got traded. My fault.
But anyway, there's a lot to kind of dig into there. We're going to touch on that a little bit before we get into the injury report, and obviously we're going to talk about Robert Quinn here real quick. But I will say, I think it's funny you brought up Khalil Herbert, because I feel like Pollard has a little bit of the Jeremy Langford effect. I think when offenses have to just focus on Tony Pollard, he's not as effective as everyone says that he is.
I agree with that.
I think it's a situation where because Zeke is so much different of a running back than him, and Zeke is consistently running through the tackles and in pass blocking situations, I think Tony Pollard's allowed to play a little bit more free. I think he's allowed to get a little bit more opportunities in the pass game because it's kind of a spell, dude. It's a situation where you're used to defending Zeke and you can't load the box on a guy like Tony Pollard because he spreads it out a lot more. This is a situation where I feel like we're not going to load the box. I think we're going to dare him to run through the tackles, and I think we're going to run a lot of nickel, kind of similar to how we did with the Patriots. But anyway, moving forward, because we're going to get to this, because I actually have a lot. I watch Dallas Cowboys games because I'm fucking basically married to a Dallas Cowboy fan. So, like, I have a lot to go into that. But before we get into that, obviously, we do have to talk about Robert Quinn. I do have to flex a little bit on Lucas for this. So, Jim, I'm glad you brought this up, showing off the fucking traps. Lucas, how much did the Bears get for Robert Quinn?
A 4th rounder, but I still want to get that clip because I'm almost 100% positive I said you're going to get a max 4 for him.
I'm almost 100% fucking positive you didn't. I'm pretty sure you were like 5th, 6th rounder, and you didn't bring anything up about like down the road. I guarantee it. If I'm wrong, you can throw it in my face.
I know. We'll go back to that
because I was looking for that clip, dude. I was looking for that clip like fucking wildfire.
It's got to be one of the first few shows, and I'm almost 100% positive I said at max you're getting a 4th for him. To be honest, though, with the trade itself, like I think Poles did a good job. To be honest, I know you got to eat the contract, and I think they probably could have gotten more for him. If they would have traded him coming off his 19 sack season. Some people were arguing back and forth saying that he was at higher value now than he was after that season. I can't agree with that, right? Like, I don't know how someone could have 1 sack through 7 games. I know the numbers don't matter, that much, but to me, it's just, that's where you would have gotten the highest value. And then you kind of think about what if we traded Quinn at his highest value and then waited to trade Mac? Probably could have had to eat less of that money, maybe gotten a 1st rounder for him. But at the same time, it's like, I'm okay with Jaquan Brisker, man. I would rather have this team with Jaquan Brisker than without it, knowing that I have an extra pick for next year or something. So I've kind of tamed down on Poles a little bit. The one thing I will say about the Robert Quinn departure is I hate the timing of it. And Poles even spoke about this, saying like, hey, I hate messing with the locker room. But it does kind of suck that it comes after the Bears' most complete game as a franchise. And the first time you really see Matt Eberflus's imprints on both sides of the ball, right? Them playing tough, hard-nosed football. And it just kind of sucks to have your captain go right after that, right? Like, you literally played your best game. To me, it almost says like, hey, we're really not trying to win this year. So it doesn't matter. But at the same time, like, I'm excited to see Dominique Robinson get more time. I'm very excited to see Travis Gibson fucking start. You know what I mean? So there's a couple things there where it's like a double-edged sword. I don't know. It's one of your only true veterans, like guys that have been around, dealt with trades, things of that nature. So it's just, it's a bittersweet type of thing. I understand why it happened. I knew he wasn't a part of the future plans. Like, I totally get it. But at the same time, that's what hurt me a little bit. It's like, damn, you just played your best game ever, and now you trade a captain.
Yeah,
was it necessary? I don't know, but a 4th rounder is probably the best you're going to get for him.
Yeah, I mean, so it is. I'm glad you brought up double-edged sword because I got a couple takes on this. Because I'm allowed to be nuanced. I don't just sit on one side of the fucking aisle or another. Honestly, like, I can't say I've softened a lot on Ryan Poles with this trade because this is honestly this was the expectation. This is what we should have gotten for him in the first place. And in all honesty, I don't have a lot of problem with the timing of it because Robert Quinn honestly wasn't having that great of a season. Like, even on that play where I guess you can give him the forced fumble because he was there on where the ball was. And I understand you got to give him credit for being captain in the locker room. Like, I'll give him that. It's very obvious. Like, when you see a guy like Roquan Smith react the way he did, it's obvious that he meant a lot to the locker room. So I will give it that. You know what I mean? But at the same time, like, I'm not going to sit here and act like Robert Quinn needs to be fucking on this team. He shouldn't have been on this roster week 1, in my opinion. Like, he shouldn't have even broke camp with us. Like, this is a situation where I really believe coming off the season that he had just had, that was the right time to trade him. And I thought Ryan Poles was taking a huge gamble bringing him into this season when I don't think his value was going to get any higher. It really wasn't. So when you trade a Khalil Mack and you get a Jaquan Brisker, I'm fine with that as well, obviously, because I'm a huge Brisker guy. Like, I can roll with that. But at the same time, I feel like the wrong guys got moved and the wrong guys got kept. And this wasn't even a thing like where I wanted to keep Khalil Mack long term or anything. I feel like Khalil Mack had a better shot to have a rebound type season in a fucking new system where he only has to worry about rushing the passer. He doesn't have to worry about pass coverage or anything like that. And it's a situation where you could have gotten a real nice return. Like you could have gotten a first round pick for Khalil Mack had he fucking played out of his goddamn mind.
If he was playing like he was in LA, like he is in LA right now, then yeah, I think you could have possibly gotten a first rounder for him if you, ate more of that contract
and that's another thing is if you're planning on eating that contract anyway, you're still going to get good value. So like you're eating that contract and you got the 4th round pick right now, and that's fine, but you're getting that 4th round pick with 1 sack. Like if you're telling teams back in April or May, like, hey, I'll eat this contract if you give me something good in return, 18.5 sacks, a guy like Robert Quinn, who's proven it over the course of his career, like a team's going to bite at that. Even if you were to wait before training camp, it just felt like,
I wonder though.
I don't know. I just don't like the way that it was maneuvered. I feel like you could have rolled with a guy like Khalil Mack going into training camp or going through the first few weeks to do it that way. I mean, whatever. We got a 4th round pick. I'm happy with that. That's a great return. Like I'm cool with that, especially with where Robert Quinn is this season. I think getting a 4th at this point, like I feel like we kind of got a really good trade with the Eagles there, But I also think he's going to ball out in that situation because he's not going to have to play every single down. And yeah, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and cry over spilled milk. It is what it is. But this is why I was complaining about the Khalil Mack trade in the first place. It wasn't because I love Khalil Mack. I mean, I do, but at the same time, I understand where this team is, and this is just not the way I would have maneuvered it for me personally. But I'm not a GM, so
timing wise, I don't love it. But at the same time, like, what if he was shopping both guys? And he was getting much better offers for Khalil Mack, clearly, in terms of value versus how much contract you're going to eat. So he decided to part ways with Mack, and then looked for more salary cap. I don't know, like, what was their cap situation at that point? Could you eat all of that dead money? Because now it's pre-June 1st versus post-June 1st. So you're going to, spread that cap over 2 different years. Maybe he didn't want to eat all of that money. I don't know, because I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think, like, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt on this because of how much I like Jaquan Brisker. If he missed on his 2nd round pick or something, you know what I mean? Like if it was someone that maybe didn't play all year because they tore their ACL, I'd be like, fuck, man, this team would be a lot better with Khalil Mack, and shouldn't be that reactionary. I do think the strategy itself could have been better. I would have flipped when you traded them. I would have waited to trade Mack. I also think Mack's someone that you could have held on to and built around him for the future, right? Like he's still, what was he, 28, 29 years old, maybe 30. So I don't know. I just felt like Mack was a different animal than Quinn. We knew Quinn's stats went up and down like a yo-yo for the majority of his career. It's just one of those things, right? But at the end of the day, like with Jaquan Brisker on the roster, I'm happy with it. I'm happy with the way it went because fuck, man, that's a hit. Like there's something weird has to happen for Jaquan Brisker to not be on a at least Pro Bowl level by his 2nd, 3rd season. Right now he's playing at like a defensive rookie of the year. Honestly, there's a couple guys you could put up there with him, like Stingley, Sauce Gardner, probably even Aiden Hutchinson, because he's been pretty fucking good as of late. But I just think he's playing at such a high level that it's like I'm okay with if he wasn't playing at that high of a level. Like if he started out like Kyler Gordon, I would have thought much differently. But he seems like a sure thing.
There was no shot, man. Like, and that's one thing where, like, I do have to say, like, Kyler Gordon looked good in college and, like, he had some film to back that up. But, like, Jaquan Brisker, you watch his fucking tape. You don't even have to go watch a highlight tape on YouTube. Like, go watch his tape and
just watch a game. And
like, dude, he was a game changer. Like, anytime he was on the field or, like, anytime he was anywhere near the ball or a ball carrier, like, you kind of held your breath. Like even going into me watching Wisconsin, honestly, even just watching other teams play Penn State, like it was very obvious on defense that Brisker was just kind of on another fucking plane of existence. So like, that's why I was so excited when we drafted him. Obviously, dude, I was jumping around like I was screaming like a little fat kid. Like that's fine. But like, that's why, like, I'm glad people are starting to see that because like, this is exactly what his profile was supposed to be. Like he is he's everything you want in a strong safety, man. And like honestly, I know you've brought up like the ability, like him possibly going to free if we were
I
to
think
end
he
up
can
moving
for
from Eddie
sure.
Jackson, but I think you're wasting his like playmaking ability in the box as well. I
Well, you're
think
using him pretty
cover,
hybrid too as well, right? Like he's not just playing a strong, like when you say
he's
strong
playing
safety, I guess it's a new age
he's
strong
playing
safety
up quite a
anyways.
bit. Like he's playing the boundaries, he's playing within like 10 yards, and Eddie's very obviously the deep guy. Like I feel like
But he's also covering tight ends one-on-one on the outside. Like you
you're
can't
right.
trust
You're right.
Jamal Adams to do shit like that.
I think we're gonna hit a point where like we got really hyped up about like an Eddie Jackson about like similar stuff like this, and then you take Adrian Amos away, and then we have to deal with what we dealt with. I don't want Brisker to be left on an island with just anybody at safety. Like we've realized in the past how hard it is to replace that other safety position and how important it is. Plus, honestly, I don't even think this is going to be an issue because I feel like Eddie Jackson's bought in so much to Eberflus's system that Eberflus would actually probably go to bat for him to stay in this system, because I would be shocked. And this is another thing, even with the Robert Quinn trade, I would be shocked if Eddie Jackson wasn't the one who was named captain on defense. I think it's a no-brainer personally.
Yeah, oh yeah. Brisker was already better than Amos ever was. Good call, Joey. No doubt. I agree with that as well. I think for sure. But no, he's a lot more versatile. And I agree with what you said, right? Like, and I think in Eddie Jackson's case, he's finally got that counterpart that he's able to do everything he's able to do now. He's able to look like a star again. So maybe down the line, he's already gotten paid pretty fucking big. Like, maybe if it comes time for an extension, he's willing to do something a little bit more team friendly. Maybe they extend him. I don't know, but I'm just saying
be surprised if he ended up restructuring after this year, honestly.
Yeah, but I mean, even still, it's different if you restructure or sign a new contract that gives you less money. It's going to be hard to ask someone to do that. But I don't know. I'm just saying I see potential for him to play free safety. I'd rather him not. I'd rather him kind of really focus into a role almost like a Derwin James type of role. Like you're just everywhere, and you're the most important guy on the field, because I think he's that good. But should we probably talk about something that's not Jaquan Brisker?
Yeah, no, because honestly, if we start getting on this fucking roll, dude, I can talk about Brisker for hours.
My whole office is gonna be covered, dude. Like yeah,
dude, literally, I'm still cleaning shit off the walls after draft night. Yeah. But anyway, now it's definitely important to talk about the injury report. Not necessarily on our side. I mean, we have to talk about Larry Borom, because Larry Borom did not practice all week with a concussion, and he is listed as out going into Sunday. So it is, all signs are pointing to the Riley Reef show. Although we did throw this little fucking curveball in here, and we brought up Alex Leatherwood because he was eligible to be back. I know there's been some discussion about it. I don't want to go too deep into it because I don't think it's a possibility he even plays on Sunday. But there has been some discussion about potentially trying him out at tackle, and I really don't think I want to see that. I think I've seen enough of Alex Leatherwood trying to play the edge. And honestly, if you go back to some of those games before Oakland moved him to guard, like it was bad. And it's a lot with footwork, and it's a lot of him getting really heavy over his upper body. He doesn't have a good balance of gravity on the outside, which is something you can mask when you're at Alabama and you have 4 other fucking stars next to you. And you have a tight end who can chip. I think it would be a lot different of a story. I feel like he's a lot better suited as a guard, getting to the second level, being able to go get a linebacker than he is kind of going on the edge and trying to block out. Personally, that's how I feel. So I think it is going to be the Riley Reef show. And you have to think
good question here too.
Ryan Poles' pocket's going to be feeling it the next day.
Oh, yeah, right. He's on that incentivized.
Borom get benched for the rest of the season. Honestly, just on that last point I was making, it's all going to depend on whether or not the Bears want to pay that contract, because it's going to be it's a very incentive-based deal. So
I don't know, though. I got to see I think it's if he starts a certain amount of games, but I can't say I'm well-versed in Riley Reef's contract.
I'll look it up.
But honestly, man, I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference. If he's playing far and above him, I don't see why you don't. Right? I don't know. Maybe they rotate him. That's always something that's an option on this team.
Let's be fair. Tevin Jenkins was playing far and above fucking yeah.
I don't know, but they did they adjusted a lot in that 11-day bye, or whatever, that mini bye, that 11-day off period in between the Patriots game. So I do think it's possible. I don't know. I mean, he should outplay him. Borom hasn't been great. I know he's been a lot better in the run game, and that's something that they want to emphasize. But
well, I mean, dude, in all honesty, though, like if
I don't think he's a world beater in the run game by any means, but yeah, he's better than pass blocking.
if Reef ends up having a good game against a team like Dallas Cowboys, we're gonna have to be dealing with DeMarcus Lawrence and potentially, Micah Parsons on the outside edge. Like he does that. This is a job earner. Like if you're Riley Reef, if you want to earn your starting position for the rest of the year, there's no better fucking opportunity to do it than right now. Are they going to do that? Are they going to consider this a stunting of Larry Borum's growth? Are they that high on Larry Borum in the first place? We're going to get a lot of questions answered after this game, especially seeing how Riley Reef performs and seeing what kind of the idea is going into the Tuesday and Wednesday practices and press conferences. Because I feel like Eberflus, while he doesn't give a lot, he'll give you little hints and kind of have you connect the pieces. That's kind of what he did by saying that he didn't officially say Reef was going to start, but he's like, yo, you can look between the lines. But anyway, moving forward with that, because honestly, that's really all we have on the injury report. Armon Watts is on here too, but he was a full participant on Friday. He's going to be good to go. It was a personal issue. Don't want to divulge too deep into that. But now looking at the other side of the things, the Dallas Cowboys are dying to hit this bye week once they play us. Like they are very, very, very beaten up. And that doesn't help when they're already kind of an undisciplined team. When you have new guys out there, like that doesn't help anything, that don't quite have the ability to be up to speed. But just kind of looking at the big names here, going through it. Noah Brown has a foot injury. He hasn't participated all week. That's a pretty big aspect of the passing game. I believe he's been working out of the slot for them. And he's sitting at questionable currently. Ezekiel Elliott, we kind of talked about that already. He has not participated all week, but they did upgrade him to from out to doubtful today. I don't know.
Jerry Jones already fucking told us.
I'd be shocked, dude. I'd be shocked if Ezekiel Elliott.
Did you see the Jerry Jones clip?
No.
Literally, Mike McCarthy was saying like, "Oh yeah, he might play," and Jerry Jones was like, "Nah, Zeke's out. He's not playing this week."
Just like that could be gamesmanship too. I mean, we're fucking kind of we're not innocent of that either. So it's looking like Zeke's going to be out. Devin Harper, their linebacker, is dealing with an Achilles injury. But he has participated all week. And then this is some really heavy hitters right here. Malik Hooker is dealing with a hamstring injury. He has not practiced all week and he's sitting at questionable. Malik Hooker has easily been one of the bigger aspects of the Dan Quinn defense in the secondary. He's kind of been the captain in the secondary. I mean, you look at a guy like Trevon Diggs, but Malik Hooker is kind of trusted with kind of keeping everybody in line back there. So that's a big injury to have. Jayon Curse, he's sitting with a foot injury, but it looks like he's going to end up playing. Dalton Schultz has been dealing with a knee injury all week. That's another big aspect to the passing game. And a guy that Dak likes to go to early and often. Looks like he's sitting at questionable, but I'm assuming being a limited participant all week, he'll end up playing. Terrence Steele, he's guy who's played a lot of snaps at tackle. He's sitting with a neck injury. He's also questionable, but he has participated all week. And then Micah Parsons, this is the biggest name on here. He obviously. I was kind of joking on Twitter the other day. I'm like, Micah Parsons doesn't need to play. I think the Cowboys should just, rest him up, save him up. But he's a guy who legitimately is he's like one of those guys in high school that you had to like hide his helmet to keep him from going back on the field. So I would be shocked if he didn't end up playing. He does have a shoulder injury. He's been a limited participant the last 2 days. Mike McCarthy himself has said that he's not too worried about it. So it's a possibility they sit him. It's a possibility it's going to be a game time decision, but I would be shocked if we don't see a heavy dose of Micah Parsons in this one. So
yeah, and it's kind of funny that they're bye weeks next week too, because you would think if someone's really banged up, and they don't want to chance them getting like a significant injury, they might just hold them out and be like, let's give them the 2 weeks. Let's give them the 2 weeks to rest. Right. So I don't see it happening with Parsons. That would be nice. But fuck, give us the Cowboys at the Cowboys defense at as full strength as it could be, at least with their front seven. Right. I know that they, have a couple safeties that might be out that have been playing well, but for the most part, like that front seven is their strength. And if I'm not mistaken, Dan Quinn, why am I blanking on that right now? Quinn has been known for his front seven, his blitz packages. I know that things were held down with, the fucking Legion of Boom. Fuck, man. Maybe Jim was right. Maybe I do need to take a hit.
Are you alive right now? Fucking hell.
No, I'm sorry. I just fucking shorted out there real quick. But no, I know like Dan Quinn is known for his Legion of Boom and all that stuff, but you forget like linebacker play. He was a linebacker coach. He's like, they're known for their front seven over here. So I think that to me is the biggest concern. really about this team in general, because I'm not too impressed with their offense overall. I just think that front seven's scary.
So I guess what makes their defense, I think what makes me worry about them the most, even with some of these injuries, I do think Malik Hooker being out, if he is out, is going to be significant. And that's something we can definitely try to expose, especially even running between the tackles, because we're going to have a hard enough time doing it, but we're still going to try to run the football, obviously. I mean, there's been nothing that says we're not going to do that. But what worries me is, like, if we were to hit a point where, like, we did start airing it out, and let's say Dan Quinn decides to start hitting a little bit more, a cover 2, or like sitting in a fucking cover 3 read, or sitting in a cover 1 where you're manned up and you have a linebacker sitting in the middle, they still have a good enough front 4 to get to the quarterback. Like, and that's what makes it so scary about, like, how much they blitz, is when they decide they're not going to blitz, that's not a situation where you can kind of just have a leisurely time in the pocket. Like, you're going to have to kind of keep an eyes in the back of your head. And honestly, I like the point that you brought up about getting their defense at full strength, because this is going to be a really good test for Justin Fields now, because this is something we were talking about during the Washington game. Actually, he brought it up, and Luke Getsy and whatnot kind of collaborated on it, is like being able to get Justin to, like, calm down in the pocket, being able to breathe, being able to understand when pressure's coming and when you have a clean pocket and when you can take it, maneuver it. This is going to be a good test, because they're going to have times where they do get heavy pressure on us. Like, there's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like, I thought Michael Schofield played pretty good last week at left guard, but, like, let's temper our expectations about him being great.
They have 27 sacks through 7 games as a
plus,
team.
I mean, we still have the anus snapper and Sam Mustipher, because we're genuinely cursed as Bears fans, and we're never getting rid of this guy. So these are things we have to be prepared for. Is this a defense that I feel like we can expose? Absolutely, especially with the injuries they have. They also lost Jordan Lewis, one of their key contributors, one of their better secondary guys. So there's going to be spots in the secondary to take advantage of. We're going to have to hit some quick hitting routes. I'm going to say this on every single podcast until we start doing it, but can we get some this would be a good game to get some slants going. Get the slants on the inside, get the slants on the outside. Stick with the out routes, because honestly, I loved the out routes against the Patriots, especially on that first drive. I really like the one to Ecnemary St. Brown as well. Like, that's the type of offense we need to be able to do, because if we try doing these long developing routes downfield, if we try to kind of sit in the pocket too long, like, Justin's going to have a long fucking day, or he's going to have to run out of that pressure, I mean, and Justin, he's on pace to just absolutely shatter his rushing yards from last year. So, like, if he decides he's going to run all over the Cowboys, that's fine. But we cannot hit a point where we're trying to depend too much on things downfield. And that's kind of night and day compared to how we usually talk, Lucas, because obviously we love Justin Fields' deep ball and we want to see it. But, like, at the same time, we're not going to have that pocket time. And the only way we're going to get that is by rollouts, by moving the pocket, by getting creative, by having tight ends chip, by having tight ends sit in. So yeah, it's going to be kind of interesting to see how we roll with it, but we're going to have to continue to stick with the run game. I wouldn't mind seeing Khalil Herbert get off tackle a little bit, or even run out of shotgun on an inside or outside read. RPO would be nice to see a little bit of as well. Obviously the rollouts, like we were talking about, with a heavy set with, like, blasting game and a tight end in, and being able to take the underneath, get the intermediate routes going. Do not throw underneath to Trevon Diggs. Like, if I have one request that you would potentially listen to any Chicago Bears coaches, do not throw underneath to Trevon Diggs. I do not want a fucking house call in Dallas. But
yeah, before I get into my whole thing, you were talking about Justin Fields shattering his rushing record. You should probably bring up that Micah Parsons quote now.
Ooh, okay. Joey Hurf, before you leave, you have to hear this quote, and then I'll let you leave. Micah Parsons went on record and said that he is faster than Justin Fields, and it's not even close. And he plans to prove it on Sunday.
Is he going to be spying him? I mean, he did run a faster 40 time.
I would have to imagine if they're not bringing him on pressure, he's got to be the spy.
He ran a 4.39, which is absurd for a middle linebacker.
Yeah, it's funny because I remember on a previous podcast that we used to do way back in the day, arguing with you and some kid with a giant fucking head about the fact that Micah Parsons is the best linebacker in the draft. And old Jimmy Neutron wasn't hearing any of it. Go to town.
It's probably because there was a Notre Dame. Yeah, exactly. He's a fucking jagoff. Micah Parsons, to me, is the next Aaron Donald. And I know it's a different Fields is game faster though. I would like to see Micah Parsons catch Justin Fields from behind. I don't think that would happen.
If he does that, I'm a believer, but I don't know if that's going to happen unless he runs into some fucking traffic in front of him.
Yeah, no. I mean, to me though, Micah Parsons is the next Aaron Donald. I know it's a different position. I know he's, kind of a Swiss Army knife between all the linebacker positions and even plays D-line, which is absurd in itself. But I think he's on the trajectory to be the best defensive player in football by a wide margin. He's kind of like someone that I've never seen before, to be honest. Like he's different. Like he's got safety speed, linebacker burst. He's absurd. There's no other way to cut it. He should be an all-pro for a majority of his seasons in the NFL, unless something crazy happens. With that being said, though, they're a very aggressive team. And I do think some double moves, like everyone thinks the Bears are going to get off the bus running because they're, if not the best, like the second best rushing offense in the entire league. I just don't think that works to our strengths in this game. I think we need to have a similar plan to what we had against the Patriots, and that's come out and get them off balance quickly, right? Like get the ball out, have a couple quick. We saw an out route, we saw a comeback to Mooney, like a couple 2-second fucking routes that you're able to get the ball out of your hands quick, and then start to get them off balance a little bit, and then start with the rollouts and a couple of those things, because I feel like the rollouts might not work this week because they have the athletes on the edges that are, it's tough. I think you're going to see a lot more stepping up in the pocket and bursting through that way, coming out the front or coming out of one of the holes that your guards are making for you. I don't see it being a turn around and fucking, because if Justin Fields is turning around and then trying to get around the edge on Parsons, unless Parsons has a terrible angle, he will catch him. Like these are different level athletes that they have on the edges. So I don't know, man. I just think it's a very, very tall task, but because of how aggressive they are, we saw some really good blitz beaters against the Patriots. We saw that screen pass to Khalil Herbert where, we need to do a couple things there where it's schemed up blitz beaters. So it keeps this Cowboys team honest, because if they're able to get a lead and just pin their ears back and come after Justin Fields, now I'm actually worried about his health.
Well, I think the biggest thing that would probably worry me about it, if Dan Quinn were to draw this up, because it's something he's been using quite a bit for the past 2 years with Micah Parsons. And that's why they like switching him inside every once in a while and have him just sit in coverage and have him just kind of have regular linebacker responsibilities, because like Dan Quinn wants you to forget about Micah Parsons every once in a while. You know what I mean? Like, obviously you have to be hyper focused on him. And like, I like that you brought up Aaron Donald, because I feel like there's like the echelon of like Aaron Donald, Khalil Mack, like Von Miller in his prime, like these types of fucking players that are just like, they're on a different stratosphere. JJ Watt, you know what I mean? Like just on different levels. But what I will say is the biggest thing that worries me about how Dan Quinn will scheme this up, and I almost guarantee we're going to see it at least once or twice, is they're gonna attack Sam Mustipher. And I'm not saying this to like go on Sam Mustipher, but I feel like what they're gonna do, because I've seen it a few times this year, is they're gonna pair him with Leighton Vander Esch. Vander Esch is gonna come up and mock the blitz, and they're gonna have Parsons kind of sit back and kind of play coverage. He's playing a spy essentially in this situation. And then they're going to have once the snap goes up, they're going to have Vander Esch fly back and Parsons just immediately cross the face of the center and go for a pass rush.
And he's that fast.
It's kind of similar to like sometimes we do it with Roquan out of nickel. They're going to use that with Parsons quite a bit. And Dan Quinn does a really good job of kind of like highlighting that blitz. He does a good job of kind of sneaking it in there. That's why we will see Parsons on the edge for sure, but we're going to see him inside quite a bit, just kind of being normal citizen. And that's when you have to start worrying about it, because at that point, it's only a matter of time before Quinn draws that up. And fucking hell, dude, even if we have a running back in, like, I do not trust Sam Mustipher to make that block. Michael Schofield's going to get attacked as well, because obviously
I think we're going to see more. I know everyone thinks that Khalil Herbert's going to take over and stuff like that, but I think we're going to see a lot more David Montgomery than we do Khalil Herbert, because they will attack the inside anytime Khalil Herbert is in a pass blocking responsibility.
Well, I wouldn't mind sitting in twin backs if
they did use two backs a lot last week.
I wouldn't mind blasting game being paired with a guy like Montgomery in a situation where you feel like you're going to pass, because that would give you that interior block to be able to take on a blitz like that. You have to be Luke Getzey has to be on top of that. If he's starting to notice that they're playing Parsons inside and they want to go in a shotgun, they need to use like that type of personnel inside. Even if they wanted to put Kmet on there, have him run around every once in a while, but almost always sit in the block. Like, you need to get creative with that, because Sam Mustipher, I don't care how like confident in him you think he is. I'm sure he's a great locker room guy, all that. Like, you have to be prepared for the fact that Dan Quinn's going to hone in on that almost specifically. So it's going to be something interesting to watch.
Yeah. And I mean, another thing too, in terms of, Dan Quinn and blitzing and being aggressive, even if they are only rushing 4, you're still going to see all of that mocked up. It's all a setup, right? Like, you're still going to see both of those linebackers walking in and out. And really, I feel like while Micah Parsons is very good on the edge and obvious pass rushing situations, it's those 3rd and 5s, 3rd and 4s where you still need him in pass pro. And, because you can't have him playing on the D line in 1st and 10, because it's a fucking waste of his talent. Like, he's way too versatile and way too sideline to sideline to do that. So it's really those, hey, we still are going to keep him at middle backer because you could throw or you could run. That's when they really fucking get you. But I mean, at the end of the day, dude, with aggressiveness comes some undisciplined play. And you mentioned at the top of the show with the injury report, like, some of these guys are going to be new and you already have a team that's pretty undisciplined. I mean, if you look at the Dallas Cowboys, they have given up 15 first downs by penalty on. So that's like, I mean, that's a lot. If you look at someone like the Bears, they're at 11, same amount of games. So you're talking about, over 2 first downs are gained by penalty. You would assume there's some pass interferences in there, probably some roughing the passers, especially with how they get after the quarterback. So that's something that can kill them for sure. And this is one of those games where, like, if Flus comes out and has them looking like very disciplined, I mean, because you're in Jerry world, but at the same time, so a lot of Bears fans, like you said at the beginning of the show, a lot of Bears fans are going to be there. I don't think it's going to be this crazy home field advantage where it's so overwhelming with the Cowboys. We know exactly how Bears fans travel. We know that it's getting cold around here about this time, and people fucking look for an excuse. A lot of people had this date circled on their calendar. Honestly, I was going to go to this game until I saw that it was going to cost me $1,200, and I was like, between hotel and tickets and all that shit, airfare, like probably even closer to $1,500. So I was like, I'm going to pass on that, especially after they were just getting their face rubbed into the dirt by, like, not great teams, with Washington and stuff like that. So I don't know. It was one of those things where it was just like, is it worth going out to Dallas for this? But I mean, I know a lot of people that had this trip planned and wanted to go out to Dallas for this game. So I would assume it's going to be 60-40, 65-35 split.
Yeah, no doubt. And I guess the biggest thing I would want to highlight on is definitely the amount of penalties that Dallas has gotten called on him this year. It seems to be like a trend really with Mike McCarthy teams. And like, I don't want to completely sit and say like that's a complete detriment to like him being a head coach, but like for one reason or fucking other, like they cannot stay on the ball. They're jumping too soon. They're getting a little too fucking cute with their cadence. Hitting out of bounds. They do quite a bit. Holding, there's a lot of holding calls on them. Like they get in their own way so much that like your best chance of beating them, the Eagles did a pretty good job of it, is just taking advantage of those penalties every single time they're given to you. Like if you hit a 3rd and short and you get stopped, but you get a like a defensive holding or something like that, like take advantage of that. Like that's,
you better
that's
go get a field goal at least.
Drive to start, you know what I mean? Like really get it rolling, because like they get frustrated, man. That's another thing with Dan Quinn, with how he plays defense. They're an aggressive team, aggressive mindset. It was the same thing whenever you had to play that Seattle defense. The best way you could do it was getting under their skin before they can get under yours, because the best way you're going to get them to make mistakes is by playing overly aggressive and getting penalized. So that is something that comes with that as well. But yeah, so they have 49 penalties against them. It's 4th worst in the league. Denver is the only team. Denver, Seattle, New Orleans, the only teams that have more than them. And they don't get a lot of calls either. So this is a situation where we really have to be able to take advantage of that. Like we need to make Mike McCarthy eat a fucking shit sandwich. Like he made us eat a lot of shit sandwiches when he was in Green Bay. It's time to kind of return that favor. I'm pretty sure this is our first crack at the Dallas Cowboys since he's gotten the job. So this is a situation. I'm pretty sure it is, because I think the
last time was 2019 that the Bears played him.
Yeah, and that would have been with I think that was still Jason Garrett. I think that was the last run of Jason Garrett.
Yeah.
But anyway,
completely wrong.
Huh?
I could be completely wrong.
I'm pretty sure it was Jason Garrett still, but yeah, no, these are things we have to take advantage of. Like we cannot hit points where we get too stagnant. We cannot hit points because like that was one thing I will say a little bit about Patriots game is there were a couple points where we did get calls on offense and we just didn't quite take advantage of that. I mean, it worked out because we got other drives going, so like we can live with that. But it's a situation with the Dallas Cowboys. Like I really believe the Cowboys are a team they're gonna keep up with points. Like they're gonna score at least 20 points on us, I believe.
In my opinion, yeah, and in my opinion, like on the opposite side of the ball, right? Like their offense is not so overpowering now, where they're able to come back from those holding on a 2nd and 8 call, and now it's 2nd and 18. Like you have to make sure that you're getting off the field on 3rd down in those types of situations. Because, like you said, they're very prone to false starts, things like that. They're one of the most penalized teams in the league. So you got to be able to, no bullshit screens that go for 28 yards or shit like that. Don't let Tony Pollard leak out on a draw and rush for 26 yards to get a first down. Pretty much what happened in the San Fran game last year.
Oh, I mean, yeah, dude. Honestly, I would be really surprised if they didn't end up spreading it out for the most part the entire game. Tony, as we kind of said a little bit earlier, and I don't want to go too nuts on it, but like Tony Pollard is not your inside the tackle type runner. Like if he sees a hole, he'll hit daylight, and they might run it a little bit just to keep us honest. I believe they have another pretty good back. As the third guy. I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but I remember him making the team through Hard Knocks, and I know he's currently their third back. So he's a guy who runs hard. That would probably be more their inside the tackle guy, but I would be shocked. I would be shocked if they didn't just spread it out and just kind of try to move the ball that way, because Pollard is at his best when he's outside the hashes, when he's hitting the numbers, really being able to just get open speed. Wouldn't be surprised if they mess around with screens and whatnot with him. They're going to do a lot of quick hitting routes as well. They're going to try to go at Kyler Gordon, I feel like, quite a bit. It's going to be Gordon and Vildor. I'm really interested if Noah Brown doesn't end up playing, if they end up putting CD in the slot, because they do use CD a decent amount in the slot, but
I like Noah Brown too.
Yeah, Noah Brown's a good player. And we do listen, and I understand he is coming back from injury, but like we have to pay enough attention to a guy like Michael Gallup too, because when he's firing on all cylinders, he is a legit deep threat, and Dak will feed him if he's getting open. Obviously, like our secondary has played great, but honestly, this is a pretty good test because CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup are a pretty nice little combo. And in all honesty, even with Dak having kind of the slow start he's had this year, obviously he was dealing with the injuries and whatnot throughout the year. And I feel like he did rush back for that Detroit Lions game. As it started getting a little bit later in that game, you started seeing him get into a little bit more of a groove than he was early on. So he's a guy that, while he has not played great, and I feel like Dallas is obviously going to be playing hindered going into this game if they do not have Noah Brown and Ezekiel Elliott, or Dalton Schultz for that matter, which is going to be a pretty good test for Roquan because I feel like they're going to have him planted on him all fucking day. I feel like it's a game that it can be a trap if you think that they're not going to get yardage, because say what you want about Dallas Cowboys, even when they do not score points, they will move the ball. Whether or not they finish it, whether or not Mike McCarthy's smart enough to kick field goal, that is yet to be seen. But there is some offensive talent still here. And even Jake Ferguson, Wisconsin alum at tight end, I obviously had to drop it in there. I don't know if you guys know, but he's also Barry Alvarez's grandson, because you're going to hear that about 70 times on the broadcast, Bears fans. Prepare for that, because we've heard about it for years. He's also a guy who's worked into the offense pretty well. So, we have the defense to be able to stop this. Our secondary is good. They're not going to run in between the tackles. So I would think we're going to run quite a bit out of nickel, similar to how we did with the Patriots. I don't even think we sat in a base defense at any point in the Patriots game, unless you consider the nickel our base defense, which I feel like it essentially is.
It really is. Yeah.
That's a modern 4-3 or even a 3-4 these days. You know what I mean? Running a lot out of the nickel defense, because if you have the talent in the box, you're allowed to do that. And a guy like Roquan Smith being able to go sideline and sideline gives you a lot of leeway with that, especially with how good he is in coverage. But yeah, I feel like if we do that, I don't think we're gonna have to load the box against them, because, like I said, they're not going to run a lot between the tackles, and it's gonna be our guys on theirs. We're gonna have to.
They have some injuries up front this year too, right?
Yeah, our boy Jason Peters is probably going to be starting at left guard.
Yeah. And then is Armstead still out? I know they got Zach Martin back, didn't they?
Yeah, Zach Martin's going to be back. That's going to be. Oh,
He's a
come on.
monster. I mean,
Yeah, he
they
is.
have some pretty good players. And I don't like that matchup, but I know that they're a little banged up in general on the offensive line.
I
To
think
me,
I think they got Tyron Smith back. Don't quote me on that, but I do have to look that up. Oh, also Brian, you never
did I
know. The
say
show's
Armstead?
not over yet. The
Yeah.
show's not over yet.
I said Armstead. That's my bad. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
But no. So my thing is, now this is from someone who is not a Cowboys / Bears fan. This is from someone who is a just.
How dare you? How dare you?
What I will say is, I don't think Dak. First of all, he's not playing at the level he has in the past, and he had an injury to his throwing hand. They're pretty slow, and I think Zeke really does a lot more of the dirty work that people do not realize. And I understand Zeke is not the same guy that he was fucking 4 years ago. There was a time when, I mean, even talk about fantasy production, stuff like that. He was a top 3 pick, top 5 pick every single year since he was a rookie, really. He's not that same guy, but even still, he does a lot of their dirty work. Similar to, that's why I was getting with that Herbert to Pollard comparison, similar to David Montgomery. Not nearly as much of the outside stuff. Not merely, Zeke is the guy that kind of sets up all of Pollard's shit. He's going to pound it inside, pound it inside, pound it inside. Then the defense gets a little bit tired, right? Now Pollard comes in, he's able to slip outside and go for a big gain. So I do think they're going to be missing that. I also think it makes Dak feel better when Zeke's on the field. Like, they're best fucking friends. I think they came in the same draft class. And they're very close. So I do think there is a little bit more of that support of, like, when I got Zeke in the game, like, I know I can depend on him to check it down to him, stuff like that. Also, I think the loss of Amari Cooper was such an oversight by Dallas fans, Dallas media, national media. Everyone still talked about this wide receiver core as one of the best in the league. And don't get me wrong, I think Michael Gallup's a very good player. I think CeeDee Lamb's a very good player. But Amari Cooper is different, and I think we're noticing that with how he's able to produce in Cleveland with Jacoby Brissett. I mean, he's much more of a coverage dictator. And don't get me wrong, CeeDee Lamb can dictate coverage, but CeeDee Lamb looked a lot better when Amari Cooper was out there. A little bit of a slow start to the season. He's kind of up and down when he gets a matchup he doesn't like, and things of that nature. So, and Gallup is someone that definitely can beat you deep. But to me, I'd be a lot more worried about this if Amari Cooper was in. And I think it really was an oversight by the national media when they were talking about the Cowboys, because right now the Cowboys are so much more of a defensive centered team. The Cowboys literally go through their defense. If you look up what they're letting up every single game, I mean, they let up 19 to the Bucks, 17 to the Bengals, 16 to the Giants, 10 to the Commanders, 10 to the Rams, 26 to the Eagles, and then 6 to the Lions. So, I mean, you look at what they're scoring, though, 20, 23, 22, 25, nothing crazy. So, hey, what's going on? I'm sorry. I was looking at stats. But thank you for wearing your Dak Prescott jersey to the podcast. We all love that. But no, yeah, either way, I just feel like their team runs through their defense. And if you're able to get some points on the board early, then you're going to be able to have a chance to beat them. But it's that I'm not as nearly as worried about their offense as I would have been in the past. Their offense used to be a high-powered machine, and right now they're a defensive-based team. Dak is still not where he used to be. And I think the offense losing Amari Cooper really hurt them a lot.
Yeah, no, I agree with a lot of that, especially when it comes to the Cooper stuff. I'm sure she would agree as well. She wasn't too thrilled when they traded Amari Cooper to the Browns. But that was kind of Dak's, like, that was kind of a safety blanket. There was a lot of times where it would be, especially like late in tight games, or maybe late in a game where Dallas had to come back. It was a lot of heavy feeding Amari Cooper. Like, that was kind of the move, because he's a guy that when all else fails, he knows will probably be open. Like, there's about a 75 to 80% chance that Amari Cooper is going to be open.
Or you can just toss it up to him and he'll get it.
That's what I mean. Even if he's not, like, he has that size. Amari Cooper is essentially like what we all thought Allen Robinson could be. That's essentially the best way I could describe Amari Cooper.
I don't even know. Yeah, I can't even do that, because Amari was a top 5 pick. I mean, I know who I wanted him in that draft instead of Kevin Moore. I get it.
I know why you feel that way. I'm just saying, like, they have like a similar mold to them. Like, Amari is a guy, sure, that maybe went deep a lot at Alabama, but he's somebody who really kind of honed in on his route running the later he got into his career. I feel like once he got to Dallas, it became a lot about running the entire route tree and being able to get a little bit more physical catching the football and building a pretty good rapport with Dak
He's
Prescott.
always been fucking built like a goddamn like vault. I can't agree with it.
Different about being built. It's a lot different to actually use that size. There are a lot of guys who come to the league who just flat out will not use their size to their advantage. Kind of similar when Derrick Henry, his first 2 seasons, he wasn't using his size. He was trying to use his speed to the outside. And he eventually hit a point where it's like, wait a minute, I'm legitimately just built in a lab. I'm going to start running between the tackles and just taking people on.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't accept the Allen Robinson thing. I get what you're saying with that, with like, hey, that's what we expected him to be, but Amari Cooper's got a fruit by the foot and Allen Robinson's got gushers. So I can't do it. I can't.
Dude, gushers are better. Gushers are fucking better. So
yeah, but which one's longer? Which one's longer? Terrible
example. Nobody cares if it's long, if it's that fucking thin, dude. I will go on with you about the fucking length and girth argument right fucking now.
No,
I do not care.
No, we're not comparing the taste of the snacks. You know exactly what the fuck I was saying.
All right, but anyway, so I feel like we've covered quite a bit with really all of that. I dropped a lot about how I really felt with the offense. It's all really it's going to be a lot of them trying to spread it out and get into space. And another thing that we're not really kind of playing into account is when Dallas plays at home, they know how to like maneuver that field better than anybody else. I would say, just for the broad example, I would think like maybe like how St. Louis used to play in their dome back in like late 90s, early 2000s.
Isn't there something hanging down in the middle of the field that punts have hit a bunch of times in Jerry World?
Yeah, just the giant fucking TVs.
Yeah, I thought there was something. Yeah.
But like it's being able to like knowing the speed of the field, you know, compared to us playing on fucking natural grass every week. You know what I mean? So that's definitely something they're going to be able to work on. CeeDee Lamb does a really good job of that and getting into space and being able to run after the catch as well. So that's somebody we're really gonna have to focus on. But I guess this is kind of a good time to maneuver into the betting lines before we get into predictions.
Yeah.
So where the Bears currently stand right now, according to Pick Center of ESPN. The spread is currently +10. The money line is +360, and the over/under is 42.5. Lucas, how are we feeling about that?
Oh, it's +9 now?
No, it's +10.
+10. Okay. Well, it started. So the opening line was 9.5, which I thought was a lot. And I guess it makes sense because the Bears were an 8.5 point dog to the Patriots, and I would say that the Cowboys are a point better, maybe even 2 points better, but I don't know, man. That's a lot. The Bears have only lost by more than one score, I think, once this year, and that was the Packers in a game that kind of got blown open at the end when it was a lot closer than you thought, especially there in the third quarter. I think you have to take the points, and it's already started moving towards. It's crazy to me that the line was 9.5. I thought it was going to be like 7.5, like saying, hey, yeah, the Cowboys are going to win by a touchdown. I think that's fair, especially at home. But I just feel like, I don't know, 9.5 to now 10 points is a lot. I just feel like can the Cowboys score enough to cover a 10-point spread? You know what I mean? Like, it's not the Lions, and realistically, up until the fourth quarter, Cowboys and Lions were playing a really fucking close game, and then they finally the Lions got worn down and started letting up some points. But realistically, like, the Bears defense is pretty fucking good too. So I understand why the line is 42.5. I think it's one of those weird games where we're going to see some big plays, and that's going to tie into my bold prediction. So I do like the over. But essentially you're saying that with that line there at 10 points, you're saying that the Cowboys are going to score 32 and the Bears are going to score the Cowboys are going to score like 23 and the Bears are going to score 13 if they're going to cover, right? Like something like that. So I just feel like Cowboys offense is not that good and the Bears defense is not bad. And the one thing that I think the Bears would have really been susceptible to is the running in between the tackles, which is Zeke's kind of forte. So I really like, you couldn't convince me to take the Cowboys and any stretch, and does feel kind of like a trap because with the way that the Bears played on Monday night, the whole world got to see that. So you would think.
Sorry, what was that?
Just saying that the Bears aren't going against a full healthy Dallas defense.
That's another thing too. Like
just gonna put that out there.
We did cover that.
We did cover that. This is a week
that you guys should play Dallas. Any team, this will be the week to do it because Zeke is also injured. You have Micah Parsons that's sitting out there. You have Williams sitting out.
No, Parsons probably going to play.
He'll probably play.
Parsons will probably end up playing. But just putting out there, this is a week to play Dallas.
No, you're right, especially with their secondary, and that's why I think this could go over, because I think you might see some times where maybe the Bears really max protect and they're able to deal with that pass rush. They still have that front seven though, and that front seven is scary. So it goes against what Justin Fields doesn't do well, right?
And especially like with what they're missing, like I like that you brought up the fact that like Zeke being out really does affect us, because like they're what's missing for them this week is what like can benefit us the most. Like we're not going to have to load the box against Tony Pollard. Like it's just that simple.
Yes, and I think that does play into the Bears' favor. So I like the 10 points. I also like the over. And another thing too, I know you wanted me to mention this. I just wanted to get this in there. Bears played on national TV last week, but they're pretty much playing on national TV this week. Because if you look at the coverage map of what games are going to be watched in the 12 o'clock slate, I mean, literally everyone but the Arizona-Minnesota game is going to be watching. You know, you have some people in the Minneapolis area that creeps into Idaho, and then like the state of Arizona is going to be watching. Otherwise, everyone else, it's all eyes on this game as well. So pretty much a damn national broadcast.
Shit about Idaho. Let's be real here.
Dude, if you've ever, first of all, don't eat potatoes anymore, okay, if you want to be a prick to Idaho. Second of all, I've driven through the northern, that little tip of Idaho that's like between Montana and the Dakotas. Maybe it's not the Dakota, Montana and Washington, I think. It's fucking gorgeous, dude. Like, it is actually beautiful. I don't know anything else about Idaho other than the time I drove through the tip for like 35 minutes. But other than that,
you got the tip for 35 minutes, huh?
It's pretty long.
It's pretty long for just the tip.
Yeah.
You walked right into that.
Either way, I don't know. Long story short, I like the Bears and I like the over, and I'm sticking to it.
All right, fair enough. I mean, you're going to be dropping in the group chat about how much you love the money line and about how much you're going to be hammering it. So
I will. Yeah, that's every single week, because now, if you're hammering the Bears money line and they're plus fucking 300 at a minimum every game they've won, you're way ahead, even though you lost those 4 games, because those 3 games they won make up for it quite a bit.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, no, I don't want to be an enemy of the state of Idaho. I'm sure it is beautiful over there. Just that entire region is actually gorgeous of the United States. But all right, now that we got that kind of out of the way, bowl predictions. What do you got for me, Lucas?
So, because of the aggressiveness in the way that the Dallas Cowboys play, and because we have seen Velus Jones very quietly worked into the scheme, maybe not getting targets, maybe not getting touches, but we're seeing him get a higher and higher snap count every single week. And just with how aggressive that they play, I'm going to go ahead and say Velus takes the top off the defense and has a 50-plus yard touchdown. Just because, I mean, especially because Trayvon Diggs, I would assume, is going to follow Darnell Mooney. And if he doesn't follow Darnell Mooney and he's on with Velus, like Velus has a different level of speed. One double move, if you give Justin enough time, I think that could be a magical thing here, especially against a defense that plays with as much aggression as the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a good time to get it done. You know, definitely, especially with their secondary hurting as much as it is right now. And I like the point that you made about Mooney or Trayvon Diggs following Mooney, because I don't know if we brought that up earlier, but that's definitely going to happen as well. I guess if I had to pick someone from the wide receiver room, it would be N'Keal Harry to possibly take off. That's not my bold prediction, but that was just something I want to toss in there. My bold prediction is going to be, I think we hold Tony Pollard to 40 total yards.
That's big balls.
I really think that with Tony Pollard being out there kind of by himself, not having the type of support of being able to spell and stay fresh and having to actually be on the field for 80% plus of
him being the one to have to wear down, and he's not going to wear down the defense. He doesn't carry the same load.
And I think you have a guy like
low though, dude.
You have a guy like Roquan Smith, sideline to sideline, if he does try to hit the fucking corner, man. And I think we're going to sit in a lot of nickel with Kyler Gordon in the slot, which I think
Jaquan Brisker
as well.
Don't forget about him. That I commend you for that. 40 is so low for someone like Pollard, who should get a line share. But another thing too, I want to caution people on that are Tony Pollard fantasy owners. I don't think like it's not like Pollard is now going to get 23 carries because Zeke is out. Like I still think they're going to use him in a similar role, maybe expand that role. But like you said, they're going to. I think they're going to have someone else do that dirty work and try to wear down the defense. So for those fantasy owners, I'm not saying he's not going to get a lot of points because he could break a fucking 80-yard touchdown at any point. Guys,
And he almost surely will now because that was my fucking prediction.
Guy's electric, but I don't know. You've been pretty decent on your predictions. You hit last week.
I did.
You hit last week.
Yeah, no, I guess to kind of close that point out, Jeremy Pulford, baby. I guess that's all I got. But all right, so here we go. Kayla, what's your bold prediction for this game? What is a play that you think is going to just pop off?
I don't know. I really don't know. I just want Micah Parsons to destroy Justin Field and that offensive line.
So what we talking
just
like?
For D-Law also on the other side.
Ooh, DeMarcus Lawrence, that's the guy we didn't talk about today.
Oh yeah,
I want D-Law and Micah Parsons. I want him to pick apart your guys' O-line.
DeMarcus Lawrence probably had like one of the best games that nobody's talked about this season on defense in one game. So he had 6 tackles, 3 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, and a 4th fumble. That's pure fucking insanity.
Put out there. He also has a touchdown on his this season as well.
All right, so basically what I gathered from that for Kayla's bold prediction is Micah Parsons 1.5 sacks.
Okay, that works.
No,
Parsons 4 sacks, Brian. Come on.
Get the fuck out of here. Come on, Brian.
All right, I'm not even gonna.
Let's get the score predictions.
We're gonna go to score predictions. So I'll actually start this out. I think it's gonna be 31-27 Bears. I think it's gonna be a high scoring affair. I think we kind of roll into what we were doing last week. We start out hot. We score points early and often. Get the ball moving. Hopefully attack the underneath until we could possibly take a shot downfield. Bayless is actually pretty decent. I like that you kind of use him for his bold prediction because that's something out of the slot if you wanted to hit it.
They've
over
been
the top,
slowly working him in, dude. Like people, like those first 2 games he came back from injury. I think he maybe got 8 snaps between the 2 of them. Like you didn't see him on offense at all, but you're slowly seeing him like on the field. Like I said, he's not getting targets. He's not touching the ball or getting production, but he's there. And it's coming at some point. And I just feel like this is the right defense to do it against.
In all honesty, I think Riley Reif has a pretty good game. I think he's somebody who I've wanted to see on the field for a while. I think he never really got a chance in the preseason to really like get going with the first team offense, but I think him and Tevin Jenkins on the right side could honestly be kind of a strength. You know, that's something we can definitely take advantage of, especially with Reif being able to get, you know, if he can get to the second level still. I guess I haven't seen him in game speed since he was a Bengal, you know, really, but that can be a nasty right side of the offensive line to get in running with, say, David Montgomery, Khalil Herbert. But yeah, so I think 31-27. I think Dallas is definitely going to score on us. I think Dak gets into a bit of a groove. I'm worried that we are not going to be able to get pressure to him, so he's going to have time in the pocket to be able to maneuver it. And he's still a guy that can move around. Like obviously, we talk about Justin Fields being an electric type runner, but Dak can still. Oh yeah, he moves the chains pretty consistently with his legs. So that's something also to watch in the red zone because he will hit you on that read option when you're not paying enough attention to him, especially with a guy like Pollard in the backfield. That's something that's actually kind of a play I think they might run on us in the red zone if they get there. Now that I think about it.
So I'm going to go with the Bears 24-20, but that is contingent really upon because the Bears are not going to put together 3 fucking 10-play drives, right? Like they need to have a couple of those take the top off the defense, expose the fact that both of their starting safeties probably aren't going to be playing. You know, just have a max protect type. We got 2 guys going out on a route and our guy's going to bust loose and we're going to hit him over the top. I truly believe that they're going to have like, you know, a 3-play drive where it's the 3rd play is a bomb, right? So I do think that it's really contingent upon them being able to take the top off the defense. But I think the Cowboys offense is, you know, kind of steadily been putting up around the 20-point range, sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less. But you got to think, dude, they shoot themselves in the foot a lot. That takes points off the board. They took a lot of points off the board against the Lions, and the Lions defense is fucking garbage. I mean, the Bears just only gave up 14 points to the Patriots, and the Patriots put up like 40 on the Lions. So their offense is not
football
that.
Math is dangerous, though.
It is dangerous. Yes, it is dangerous, 100%. But their offense had really a really hard time moving the ball and scoring through 3 quarters against the Detroit Lions, who everyone fucking scores against. So I just feel like they're going to put up a little bit less than their average, which I believe is around like 23 points. And I think if the Bears are able to squeeze out 24, they're going to be able to get the win.
All right, yeah, I like
Kayla,
that.
give Kayla.
Say Kayla, what's score prediction?
I don't think you guys are going to score more than 1 touchdown on our defense. Our defense hasn't let up many touchdowns.
She just told us how it's not the right defense.
My
God! I'm just going to tell you though, that line is wicked.
It is.
And we have
wicked. She says during Halloween week, it's wicked.
Correct. But I'm just saying though, our defense though has had how many touchdowns scored against us this season?
Not a lot.
Exactly.
Not a lot. No, it's there. No, she's making a very valid point.
I'm just saying. So I don't think you guys are going to score more than 1 touchdown on that defense. The rest will be field goals, if anything.
Hey, Cairo Santos, NFC Special Teams Player of the Week, baby. We didn't even say that, but
don't worry, we'll block.
Year.
Oh, he's gonna be of the year, easy.
Eagles put up 26, but then I listed a lot of these scores. They blanked the Commanders.
I'm also going to put it out there too. We also had a backup quarterback.
Oh,
for most of those games.
All I heard from Cowboys fans is how Cooper Rush is a franchise quarterback.
Yeah, now I will step this far and say that what Cooper Rush was outputting has been better than the 2 games that Dak Prescott played.
Dak also just came back from an injury when I started.
Prior to the injury as well, he looked like dog shit. They put up 3 points.
No, we won't go that far. You got Justin Fields in that backfield, so.
Hey. All right.
I got to deal with this every Sunday. Sunday is
banter. This is at least finally you guys are facing off, so now you can get the tension out and go your separate ways.
Well, dude, it's already been a tense week because I beat her in fantasy this past week, so
that's tough.
We're really hitting ahead, man. I'm gonna try to get my dad up here because last time we played Dallas was the Mitch game, and me and my dad were just so Kayla's on this side of the couch all the way at the end, and me and my dad are just kind of sitting over here, just kind of looking at her like we're not trying to just explode with how fucking great everything's going, but holy shit. It finally just hit a point where like in the 3rd quarter, she just like went in the bedroom. She was so fucking.
It was just over with. Yeah. I mean, Mitchell Trubisky might have had his best game ever as a quarterback against that team. So
yeah, no, me and my dad were just like screaming to the heavens when she went into the room. So,
and Fields has been very quietly getting a lot better too, which is something that people are not willing to acknowledge.
Yeah, no doubt. But that seems like a pretty good spot to kind of roll out of it. Otherwise, we're gonna have Kayla talking about the Cowboys for another 3 hours. But yeah, I mean, unless you have anything else.
That's all I got, man. I'm ready to watch the Bulls. They're starting in 5 minutes.
Yep. All right, so we don't want to affect that. So this has been the Barely There podcast. This is Rocky, my dog. This is Kayla, my fiance, and I'm Duke Coughlin. You can follow me on Twitter at @thatpodguyduke. You can also follow the Ayatollah of Capicola, Lucas Perfetti, at Lucas Perfetti 46 on Twitter. And be sure to follow the podcast at Barely There Pod. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to hit a thumbs up on this YouTube video if you're watching on YouTube. Chat got pretty lit as well. If Jim ever watches the replay, just know that I still have your toothbrush holder and that Lucas is a total bum. But anyway, I'm Duke Coughlin. That's Lucas Perfetti, and we've been Barely There.
And if you're wondering why I had a short out, it's because Jim's an idiot, and whenever he's in the chat, it just I like try my hardest not to look over, but then I'll see something, and everyone is just perfect. It makes me laugh. So, that's why.
Yeah, no, my favorite is like when I'm trying to say a point, and you're just over there laughing like an idiot because Joey and freaking Jim are just going at it in the chat.
Yeah. No, I'm not laughing at your take.
Tell me about how small my biceps are. But all right, anyway, now that we've given them the clout that they were looking for, it's been Barely There and bear down.
Bear down.